In this video, I'm going to be talking about weathering. We're going to talk about mechanical and chemical weathering. One of the things I wanted to bring note to is that our notes are going to have a different format than you're used to, and you may need to stop the video, rewind, and listen again so that you can pull out the important information of how does this particular type of weathering break down rock material. And you will also be asked to stop the video and answer questions along the way. So be prepared and be ready to listen. So let's get started. The first type of weathering is what we call mechanical weathering, or sometimes you might see the word physical along with the word weathering. And what that is when rock material is broken down and the chemical composition is not changed, meaning the rock was broken down into smaller pieces, and those pieces have the same chemical composition of the original rock that it was before it was broken down. And the very first type of mechanical weathering that I'm going to talk about is what we call frost action. Right now we're starting to enter into our winter season, and we'll start to see this action take place throughout the course of the winter to our roadways. What's happening here is that water enters into cracks and openings into the ground. And when water freezes, when the air temperature drops below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, the water will freeze, but when it freezes, it expands. And it puts pressure on the rock and wanting it to break open. And then when the water thaws, we have a bigger opening and more water can get into the opening, freeze again, and this alternating freezing and thawing will work on rocks, like in the picture here where you can see a big boulder that has been split in two by this frost action. The next type of mechanical weathering is what we call abrasion. Abrasion is what happens when sediments that are being carried along by some agent of erosion, like wind, water, ice, and gravity, they will take those sediments and they will grind and scrape against other rock. And when they do that, small particles get broken off and slowly wear down that rock over time. Like in the picture here, you can see the small pieces of sediment striking a rock and how that shape of that rock is changing and the fact that it's getting smaller over time. Root action in animals can also mechanically break down rock. As in the picture, you can see when plants or trees, when they start to grow, their roots that help anchor them will go into any openings or crack in rocks or bedrock, and as they grow, they will apply pressure onto the rock and force it to split apart. You might be wondering why animals would be on here, but just in this case here you have a gopher who digs holes into the ground, and other types of moles and other kinds of burrowing animals their holes will allow rainwater and air to get down to the bedrock that is covered up by soil. And that will also help weather rock that is down below the surface. Exfoliation is our last type of mechanical weathering. And what exfoliation is when you have something like a granite intrusion. We just talked about what intrusions were, molten material down below the surface that cool over a long period of time so that the mineral crystals can get really large. Those intrusions are buried deep below the surface, and therefore that's why those crystals get to grow large. But when you have something like glaciers that can remove all the bedrock from above the intrusion, that intrusion is now free to expand upwards. And when it does do that, it'll break along these joints that are parallel with the Earth's surface, and you can see the kind of unique breaks that occur almost like an onion. So please stop the video and answer this question here to the left. Once you're finished, you'll get an answer. You can get immediate feedback to see if you are correct. And once you've done that, I'd like you to come back into your note paper and finish the sentence that is underneath the diagram of mechanical weathering. It says breaking down of rock, and then please finish in the sentence. And then again, take a look at the diagram. You have granite that gets mechanically weathered, and then you have smaller pieces of granite.